Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, Shauna Rae. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about some potty training tips. And since becoming a mom, it literally is like I found my purpose. So if you're new to my channel, I am a working mom to a 2-year-old little boy who is fully potty trained. He has been since around 18 to 20 months, somewhere in there. He's been 100% potty trained now for about 6 months. And I wanted to share with you guys some tips and tricks on how I was able to potty train him quickly, easily, without any hassle, and pretty early for most people. We started potty training somewhere right around 16 months. So he was potty trained pretty early, and he's been 100% potty trained for a while now. So I want to share with you guys some tips and tricks on how I did that. So my first tip when it comes to potty training, and this is probably the most important one, is to wait until they're ready. So I've worked in daycares and I've worked as a nanny, and I've worked with a lot of kids who are going through the potty training stage, and I've seen both sides of it. I've seen parents who waited until their kids were ready, and I've seen other parents who tried to force it before your kids were ready. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, when you try to force it, it never works very well. It's always a struggle, it's always a hassle, at least in my experience. Waiting until they're ready is key. Now, I waited until my son was ready, and I was not prepared for him to be ready at 16 months, but that's when it happened. So some signs that he was ready. He started paying attention when he would be in the bathroom with me when I'd be going, started asking questions, started getting curious about what the toilet was, about pottying, and then the biggest tip that he was ready, or the biggest clue that he was ready, was he started telling me when he was going to the bathroom in his diaper. Now, this started as him telling me right after he'd gone, so he was realizing that he had gone to the bathroom, and that's how it started at first. Now, within a couple of weeks, he started telling me, so he would tell me, Mommy, I went poo-poo, and I'd check and he'd gone poo-poo, and he had just gone, and so I knew that he was kind of catching on to that fact that he was doing that. And within a couple of weeks, he started telling me that he had gone to the bathroom, and I would check his diaper, and it would be fine, he hadn't gone. And then within a couple of minutes, he would go to the bathroom. And that was my biggest clue that he was ready, was because now he was realizing when he was needing to go to the bathroom. It wasn't no longer him just realizing that he had gone. He was realizing that he needed to go. So he knew the feeling of needing to go to the bathroom. And that was the biggest clue for us. That happened right around 16 months when that happened with my son. That can vary drastically by age though. I know other parents whose kids aren't ready and to that point until they're 2.5, 3. So it varies drastically. I just happened to luck out and my son started having that knowledge by 16 months. Now, as soon as that happened, I wasn't quite ready to potty train. I'm gonna be honest with you. I hadn't any plans of potty training that early, but I knew I couldn't ignore it. I knew that I didn't want to ignore it because I felt like if I ignored it, then he would start ignoring it. And so I didn't want to ignore it. So right away, as soon as that started happening, we went on to Amazon and we bought him the, I think it's the Summer Infant My Little Potty. And it basically looks like a toilet, except it's tiny and perfect for toddlers and kids who are potty training. So we bought him that potty. We also bought him a couple books about pottying for him to read while he was pottying. And we set it up. And we just put that wherever we were hanging out, we would have that out. And we let him go to the bathroom. And he did amazing. He did really good right off the bat. He would be going all the time. Now, my next tip, once you're starting to potty train, my biggest next tip is for naked time. And I know this is weird to some people, and it's definitely not something you can do when you're out and running around or when you're trying to potty train in daycare, which my kid does go to daycare, so I will get into that next. But naked time was amazing for us when we were at home. So when we were at home, especially in the evenings, like after work, after he was home from daycare, after dinner, we would give him a bath, and then for the last hour before he went to bed, we just let him run around naked, which he loves being naked, so that was a plus there. But also, as soon as he got the urge to pee, he could just run over to his potty and sit down. And there wasn't underpants or pants or anything in the way of doing that. And so it was really easy for him because when they first start learning, they don't realize they need to go until they need to go right that second. And they don't have any control over holding it. So they need to be able to go immediately. And so not having pants or underwear in the way was really handy because he could just go and sit down and go. We had very few accidents with this. I was a little weary because we do have carpet in all of our rooms, but luckily I think total we had like 2 accidents. We never had a whole lot of accidents using naked time. We had more accidents using underwear, but using naked time, we very rarely had accidents. And so that is one of my biggest tips once you actually start, is by just use naked time. Let them run around naked. Let them run around without pants. Kids love it. Plus, it's really easy for them to just go when they need to go. My next tip is to make it fun. So whenever my son would go to the bathroom, we would always celebrate. We'd always clap our hands, jump up and down, yell, woohoo. Sometimes we do a dance. We made up a song that was like, Charlie just went potty, or something like that. Charlie went pee pee, something like that. We made up songs. We had fun with it. We always made it a joyous occasion whenever he would successfully go to the bathroom and the toilet. We never used punishment though, that on the flip side of it. So we would make it joyous and fun whenever he did go to the bathroom. And on the flip side of it, we never used punishment when he had an accident, because accidents are gonna happen. Kids are gonna have accidents. It's part of life. And they need to know that it's okay. Like, yes, you went to the bathroom on the floor, and we would talk to him about it. We would say, because he would get upset. Most kids do get upset when they have an accident, and we would tell him it's okay. We'd have him help us clean it up, which my son loves to help clean up, and it kind of teaches him, like, we're not supposed to do this. He'd help us clean up, and we'd talk to him about it and be like, we're not supposed to go potty on the floor. Where do we go when we need to go potty? And he would tell us we go on the potty. And so we would walk him through it, and we would remind him where he needs to go when he goes potty. And we didn't have a whole lot of accidents. We did have some in his underwear or like in his car seat. We did have a few, especially in his car seat. I feel like we had more accidents there than anywhere, and I think that's because he felt like he couldn't go anywhere. He was trapped, so sometimes he wouldn't even tell us. And so we just had to remind him, we don't go potty in our car seat. We only go in the potty. You need to tell mommy when you need to go potty, things like that. But we always made it a very joyous occasion when he did go potty. On the flip side of that, I never forced it. So, which is hard, especially if you're getting ready to leave the house or something and your kid's dead set on he doesn't want to go potty. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie. But I tried very hard never to force him to go potty. We even went through kind of a regression at one point where he just did not want to get on the toilet at all. And that was fine. We had been in underwear already, and we went back to diapers because, well, we went to pull-ups because I still wanted him to have the opportunity. But I was just like, I'm not gonna fight him. I don't want to force it, which was something very important for me. I didn't want to force him to go to the bathroom because I feel like when you start forcing it, they stop seeing it as like a milestone, like as a fun. I want them to see this as something that they're learning to do, and it's fun, and they're happy that they're reaching this milestone. I didn't ever want it to be something that he was being forced into. And this is good for kids who are very strong-willed and very hard-headed. My son is very hard-headed, and when you tell him no, or when you tell him he has to do something, even if it's something he wants to do, if you tell him he has to do it, he doesn't want to do it all of a sudden. And so that was very important to me, is not forcing it on him and just making it something that he chose when he wanted to do it. And that meant it did take a little bit longer. I see a lot of people who say they potty trained in 3 days. It did not work like that for us. It happened over a couple of months, but it was because I didn't want to force it. He was still pretty young at the time, and I wanted it to be fun for him. Now, if we had been able to stay home and just do it nonstop, we may have been able to do it in a weekend like some people can. But I also was dealing with daycare, which that's what I want to talk about next, is potty training and daycare. First off, you want to make sure you're on the same page with your daycare. We were not. He was in a class at the time when he started potty training that wasn't set up for potty training kids. It was a younger class still, and they just didn't have enough teachers and enough resources. There wasn't a bathroom in the classroom, so a teacher had to go with him to a bathroom, but there wasn't always enough teachers for someone to be able to take him to the bathroom. And that set us back a lot, I think. Just it not being consistent. He was going potty on the potty at home, and he'd be doing great. We wouldn't have a single accident at home, but then when he got to school, they weren't taking him. And so he'd be going in a pull-up or a diaper. We switched at some point, but either one. At home, he was wearing underwear and he was doing great and not having any accidents, but at daycare, they weren't taking him. And so I think that set us back a lot. And I think that made it take a lot longer than it should have. So whenever you're potty training with daycare, you need to make sure you're on the same page. I did finally talk to the director, and we ended up moving him up to the next class, even though he was still like 5 months before, this happened right around 18 months. So I guess he was about 6 months still until he was supposed to go up to the next class, the 2-year-old class. But he was ready. He could do all the milestones that he needed to be able to do to be in that class. And the potty training thing was really big because they do potty training in that class. They go every hour on the hour as a class to the bathroom. And they just weren't set up for that in the younger class that he was in. Once we did that step, it was underwear from then on out. No more issues. He had maybe a handful of accidents at school. Most of the time, if he did have an accident, it was during nap time. And so then I just started sending a pull-up for during nap time because he is not potty trained while he's sleeping. So nap time's hit or miss. Sometimes he'll make it through nap, no problem. Sometimes he'll go in a pull-up. Nighttime, he does still go to the bathroom, usually at least a little bit. He's woken up dry maybe a handful of times in the last 6 months, but nighttime and nap times, he still wears pull-ups. But during the day, he's now 100% potty trained. He hasn't had an accident in months, either at home or at daycare, which is amazing. For reference, he turned 2 in March. It is now June, the end of June. But I would say he probably hasn't had an accident since March or April. So he's been pretty potty trained since. And before that, the only accidents he really had, like I said, were at nap time and before I switched to just sending pull-ups to school for him. And then now another tip I have is not using pull-ups. So this is a controversial tip, and I do use pull-ups at nighttime. So we're not 100% no pull-ups, but no easy ups. We actually use the Pampers easy ups because I like them better than the Huggies pull-ups. But we call them all pull-ups. So, but we actually call them nighttime pants in our house. My suggestion, we went straight from diapers to underwear though, straight away, because in underwear, they can feel when they go to the bathroom and it feels different than a diaper. A pull-up feels the same as a diaper. And so for some kids, a lot of kids, they don't realize that they need to add, or they just think they can still go in their diaper. Like they think they're just still wearing a diaper and they can still go. So wearing a pull-up a lot of times deters kids from going to the bathroom. So we went straight from diapers to underwear. And also Charlie loves wearing his underwear. He loves picking out which underwear he wants to wear in the mornings. He has ones with superheroes and ones with trucks and ones with dogs on them and Mickey Mouse on them. He loves picking out his underwear. I have a lot of his underwear linked in my Amazon shop, which is down below if you're interested in what kind we have. But he loves picking out his underwear. And so that's really good. And it helps make it more fun and a fun experience. And it also, when they go in underwear, they can feel it. It runs down their legs and it gets them all wet. And they know that they went to the bathroom and that they should have gone in the toilet. Where when they're wearing a pull-up, it doesn't make a mess. And it just feels like they went in their diaper, which they've been doing for however long before. And they just don't realize that it was something they weren't supposed to do. Like I said, we do wear pull-ups at nighttime and at nap time. And then occasionally, if we're gonna be in the car for an extended period of time. We've pretty much stopped this at this point, but especially at first, because he was having some accidents in the car, we would put him in a pull-up whenever we'd have to drive more than like 45 minutes. We'd still try to stop if he told us he needed to go, but we live out in the country, and just to get into town is 30 minutes. To get to Nana's house, it's 45 minutes. To get into the big city, it's an hour. So we're driving 45 minutes to an hour quite often. And sometimes it's hard to stop and let him pee somewhere, especially after Corona hit. We haven't had any accidents since then. Like I said, the last accident we've had, I guess we haven't had any accidents since the whole COVID thing happened. So it's been since at least the beginning of March. Now we pull over and let him pee on a tree, which he's loving. I'm not gonna lie, he's loving that. But before we would pull over and just run him into the restroom somewhere. But now that we're not wanting to use public restrooms, we're going on trees, but that's a whole nother story. But I think that switching straight from diapers to underpants is a really important step in potty training. I'm not against pull-ups. We do use pull-ups when we need to, when I want to make sure he doesn't pee in his car seat or pee in the bed every night, things like that. But for every day, like day to day while you're playing, I think just going straight to underwear or naked time is better. It is a better option, and that is one of my tips. The last tip for you guys is to not stress about it. Potty training is going to be hard. It's going to happen at some point. Your kid's not going to be 10 and still wearing a diaper. They're just not. It's going to happen. Kids are they're going to pick it up. Most kids at some point are going to want to do it. And if you just wait until they're ready, it's going to be a lot smoother and a lot easier process. Now, I've only potty trained one kid myself, but like I said, I have worked in daycares and as a nanny with other kids who were potty training. And so I've seen a good chunk of kids who have been potty training. And I think from what I've seen and from what I've experienced, the parents that stress out about it, it's rough. It's a lot rougher on both parties, the parents and the kids. The kids can feel your stress. When you're stressed out about something, they know it. Kids know it. They pick up on those things. So if you just make it a stress-free, easy breezy experience, they're going to have more fun with it. They're going to be more likely to pick it up and more likely to not fight back. And I think it's just going to be a lot smoother of a transition. This was easy for me, I'm not going to lie, because Charlie started so young. I wasn't in any rush to potty train him. So I think that for me, it was easy, and I understand that. I understand that's not as easy with everyone, that some parents have a 3-year-old that still doesn't want to go in the toilet, and I understand that, and I get that that can be stressful. But I think you just need to let the kid decide. You just need to let children decide when they're ready for things like that. Going to the bathroom is a very personal experience, and let the kid decide when they're ready to do that. So that is everything, you guys. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope I didn't ramble too long here. I can see already that I've been filming for 20 minutes, so hopefully I can cut that down a little bit for you guys. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. If you have any tips of your own, leave them down in the comments below. Like I said, I've only potty trained one kid exclusively, so I'm not a pro at this by any means. I'm just a mom with some experience who did potty train her son very early compared to societal standards. Let me know your comments down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.